What is up, down, and sideways, all you beautiful individuals? It is another epi of League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you for what we are calling Week 6. Again, most of these regions don't even have Week 6, but Week 6 Global Power Rankings, aka the Playoff Edition, because some of the big dogs did not even hit the Rift this week, but in most of, well, all the major regions, we at least have an opening play-in or some round of playoffs that is kicked off this week.
I think it doesn't even really, frankly, matter to me what week, what number, whatever of this power ranking it is. It's just that this is a power ranking that we know, as everybody, doesn't matter what region you are in, it is getting very close to that world championship time. And then again, that is where all this intense focus, all the thoughts, everything else about this type of international combination of a power ranking list comes into mind. No wasting any more time. Let's dive right back into it because, again, world's coming up around that corner. Important to take a note on what's going on around the world scene.
And kicking off this list, hanging out in the nosebleeds, need binoculars to see what's going on the stage, is Shopify Rebellion, who, were undefeated, heading into playoffs until they lost a competitive one to FlyQuest, but the 3-0 beatdown that they suffered at the hands of 100 Thieves, who, as you can see, making their season debut on this list, are the main reason why they're just barely on this list and why 100 Thieves have kind of kicked them down a few flights of stairs.
I think I'm going to take a roll with that analogy you're going with, hanging out in the nosebleeds, got the binoculars on to see the thing. Sometimes having a seat all the way up, all the way back, you get to see the whole game, right? So you get to have that different angle. And I know different with League of Legends, The Observer, all sorts of things. I think that this is going to be one of those ones with having this time away, getting to see what was going on between 100 Thieves, Cloud9, 100 Thieves, and FlyQuest. You're going to be able to see a Shopify Rebellion that is going to come through this LTA tournament with some extra fire. And I think that, again, can go to 100 Thieves for a little bit of a different reasoning we'll get to talk to, but I think as well, looking at Shopify holding on to this spot, at the very least, until we get to see what type of effort, what type of improvement comes through at the LTA final tournament, I like having them in this spot.
And, on that other side, obviously 100 Thieves kind of kicking past them, not just because of that 3-0, but this squad went 0-3 in the pick and play stage, and for whatever reason made playoffs because of the LTA format, but that's a whole other issue. But then they proceed to beat Lion Gaming, convincingly 3-0 Team Liquid, beat Cloud9 in the mega upset, and then 3-0 Shopify. The glow up that this team has had in playoffs, and then culminating and not beating FlyQuest, but pushing them, being competitive. It doesn't even look like the same team.
And I think that one of the important things to keep in mind with this 100 Thieves team is that the potential, the chance that they could be one of these competitive teams, one of the offerings that you would want to have for North America to represent, that was always there throughout the beginning of the year and everything else. The performance wasn't there. The cohesion of the team and the strategy wasn't there. And I think the effort that has gone through this entirety of the year, and specifically this summer split, to hit their stride, to find their peak levels of performance or start to, discover it and push that to another level, has been fantastic. And the other angle I want to take with 100 Thieves is I'm going in on this Dokla and Bwipo beef. I'm taking all that's coming through with it, and I think that this is going to be just that extra little cherry, that extra protein bar of power and energy that's going to push your boy Big Dokes and 100 Thieves over that edge. They are going to be extra hungry and extra motivated for this LTA Finals tournament.
One of the strangest beefs, Dokla, like the nicest guy on the desk as a coach on his stream, but absolutely should be a motivator, and he has kind of been the secret sauce to this whole turnaround for 100 Thieves. So it seems like he's got the confidence of his team. Yeah, very excited to see the bounce back from both of those 2-3 teams in the LTA North in that bigger bracket. Sandwiched in between them, another squad making their debut, jumping over D plus Kia because they went the head-to-head, is BNK FearX, who were consistently right behind D+ in that Rise group throughout the whole regular season, but much like 100 Thieves, even though a smaller sample size, big-time level up in these best-of-5s.
It's unfortunate, but it's basically, yeah, BNK is doing exactly what we wanted to see from D plus Kia. Not maybe exactly, because I don't think either one of these two squads did really prove that they are the world beaters of the Rise group situation, but we'll still move on and take it because, again, I'm in love. I'm in love with what I'm seeing down in the bottom lane of BNK. That's my boy Diable coming on through, making sure that he is that superstar carry for the team, and his development, his extra pressure share load of being that guy is one of the favorite things that I've seen develop for this group so far this year.
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody is rooting for that rookie, and it's been a redemption arc for Vikla as well over there on FearX, which is rare to have a redemption from dark days in the LCS. So shout out to Vikla as well on that squad. Couple of the EU squads who get dropped down a peg, losers on the weekend, are Carmine Corp and Fnatic. Fnatic probably shouldn't have even gone to Game 5 against Koi, except for some whoopsie moments out of Movistar, but so they get knocked down there. But the bigger surprise, I think, was not necessarily the Poby performance there, but maybe the bot lane. I know Upset had a good Twitch game, but Supa Zeri absolutely gets spoon-fed some games in that 5th game.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's simply an execution type of error, or if that's just a mistake on other aspects. Whatever it was, earning that 5th game through whatever fashion it gets to there, just to throw it all the way to feed the Zeri is not the best feeling, I think, for the Fnatic faithful. But yes, you do have another opportunity still to improve, to impress, to keep this dream alive at the end of the day. Got to be banking on that one if you are Fnatic. And for Carmine Corp, you're still looking as well to have that improvement, to find that type of form and peak throughout these LEC playoffs.
KC, they won a game, but they weren't in this series. The 3 games that G2 won, it was a much bigger one-sided series there. The only reason they're higher than Fnatic is you felt better about KC kind of heading into these playoffs, but we need an improvement out of both of these squads, even to beat some of the lower tier teams if they want to be vying for that 3rd seed to Worlds, because G2 and Koi already booked their tickets.
And if you are one of these squads, as in Carmine Corp and Fnatic, who's going to be the guy? Who's going to be that difference maker that pushes the team over the edge? That's what I'm looking for. And on Fnatic, still kind of searching. Who's it going to be? Who's going to step up? All these type of things. You thought it would be that bottom lane throughout this series, but outside of that Twitch performance, wasn't there for the Fnatic squad. And then when you're looking at Karma, again, of course, you're looking at Khalees down in that bottom lane. Yes, a lot for a young player and the inexperience and everything else. But this is what it takes. This is what the chances are, and this is where you can build up a name and a legacy, is a type of performance that we're hoping to see from them throughout the rest of this LEC playoff run.
You want to talk legacy in the LPL? Look no further than the Summer Tiger. That's right. We're talking about Xiaohu and the boys who get a boost. That head-to-head upset against anyone's legend not only brings AL down, but lets Weibo hop just over them. I still feel like if you were to rematch these two squads, I'd favor AL, but obviously the dark horse of Weibo is alive and well, even earlier than we thought.
I think even at that point, I'm only favoring it maybe 51, 52 to 48, 49 type of situation. It is very, very close between both of these squads. And yes, I think this is partly anyone's legend that isn't hitting their peak, isn't in the ultimate form and chemistry and cohesion that we have seen them been able to reach so far this year. I think this is also a Weibo that is peaking, that is finding that form, has that synergy, is getting that mojo right. And it all starts with Xiaohu in that mid lane and his performances as well, boosted up by your boy Tian. Love to see that. And so Weibo does find themselves leapfrogging all the way over anyone's legend.
And I mean, I don't know if Weibo can keep this up. I feel like they're good for 1 or 2 series, kind of an upset potential that we've seen out of them, but they've been much more consistent than pretty much all we saw throughout the regular season out of them. Obviously going to have their hands full against top eSports in that kind of winner side of things now, as they've been up there, but who knows what the sky the limit is for them, and who knows if we're getting the international top esports showing up a little bit early. That's what we'll be monitoring in that next round of LPL action.
Yeah, pretty scared if that's going to be the case, that we might be getting there in the LPL. But I think this is one of those ones where it's about, you're listening, you're grooving to your favorite song, and this might be a little bit too old head boomer here, but the headphone jack, I don't know, no one's using the headphone jack in their phones.
I feel you.
But come on, go with it for the analogy here. But you're listening to that, and then all of a sudden it gets disconnected. You're not vibing. You're not grooving anymore. So as long as they keep that Bwipo headphone jack connected and are still vibing out to their tunes, I think they got a shot in these LPL playoffs.
They better hope they don't have a shoddy wire that keeps disconnecting either way, because sometimes we do see that out of both Bwipo and Top Esports. We alluded to a squad climbing as they booked their ticket to Worlds. We're talking MKOI. They crack into that top 10, and really, even though it did go to 5, Koi was clearly the better team across the series against Fnatic. You saw both Mirwin, Elyoya, Supa, and Jojo all kind of exchanging massive individual gold leads throughout this series. But anytime I'm seeing Mirwin pick Varus and Akali in a series, I'm happy to see him cooking in the top lane, even if the Varus one didn't really work out.
And that's going to happen. But at the very least, having that identity, having that angle, having that option for this Movistar Koi team is something that I think is incredibly vital, very much integral to what type of success can happen for them, how they can push you and how they can stress their opponent on the other side of the rift. That's a big factor. And Merwin's champion pool and his efforts, yes, excluding that Varus one, were part of that effort, part of that combination for this squad. I think, again, as well, throughout this series, even if there are negative points, there are criticisms, improvements, whatever, you still saw enough of the positives for this group and enough of the positives for the entirety of the group, not just going off of Jojo Pyun or Elyoya had it or Supa had. It was everybody had something going right, some type of positive influence on the game, on the series, and that's one of those big wins that you take if you are Movistar Koi. And I think as well for them, just a squad that is going to benefit from having that stress, having that pressure of trying to attain one of these spots all locked up. They can continue to improve, continue to work on themselves before the LEC playoffs come to a conclusion.
And they'll need to improve because we finally are going to be getting a rematch of those spring finals with them against G2. Didn't get it at all in the regular season, but this is a very different G2 than we saw at any point in spring. Case in point, that Carmine Corp series. They are flying on all cylinders. They're climbing up a few spots. They jump over the Flying Oysters, and that's not really a knock on them. They dropped game 1 to Team Secret Wales, but bounced back in a big way to get to the next round of playoffs. If CFO kind of dominates this entire playoff run, which is still early for them, they could easily get back to that 7-8 spot. But CFO, G2, and I'll even throw in FlyQuest, I feel like are all in that contention to be a quarterfinal level team at Worlds right now.
Yeah, I think this is one of those territories where I'll paint it. I'll take it on the right on the chest here and say that this is some Western bias, that I'll move our squads ahead of a squad like the Flying Oysters, no matter how much I do like and respect them. But it is one of those spots where, again, I allow the personal freedom of whoever you want to have in this type of order, this type of mix, as long as this is the mix, right? As long as we're mixing orange juice and apple juice with a little bit of water, a couple of ice cubes, and having a good sip time, whatever, I'm having my drink and I'm relaxed. But as long as those are there, as long as these teams, this mixture is here, in whatever way you want to sort it out, I can accept it, because you're right. This is that territory, again, focusing on Worlds. This is about where the numbers start to shift down, and you got to make it through the knockout round. Start, locking down your spot. And these are the teams that you're looking at to try and make that push.
And, again, G2 not further along in the playoff push, as they've only played one series, obviously, but FlyQuest has wrapped up, the conference championship, whatever this first playoff bracket is for them. And again, I said they were tested by 100 Thieves, but there's really no team actually pushing them to the brink in the LTA right now.
Yeah, still waiting to fully see that, and I think part of that is again hoping and wanting to see the rest of that LTA, the 100 Thieves, the rest of this pack start to continue to their level up and improvement throughout this year, and as well, it's one of these recognitions and acknowledgments that FlyQuest is that much ahead, that much better, that much more prepared for these type of high pressure matches than anybody else, I think, within the LTA, and again, are that most prepared, most successful opportunity for the LTA heading towards this international event.
And you can maybe even throw Koi if they're able to level up into this category with the 3 teams we just talked about. But when you get to the 6th spot on this list in Hanwha Life, that's the hard stop. You need to be higher level to access this zone. Because even a Hanwha that we're not feeling the highest about that we have, it's still a cut and tier above even what the best of the West is putting forward.
It's getting into the hotel room and, the key card, it works for the first door, but it's only a door to another door to get into the room.
You can't get to the rooftop. No.
This key card's not working. What's going? It just let me in through here. Oh, this is different. This is the luxury as you start to move into that very tippity top of the top 10. You're right. I think for a squad like Hanwha Life is a very good differential buffer, I think, between these optimal, optimist, hopeful champions that we're going through down here compared to the determined and focused attempts that we are going to have from these front-running favorites at the very front of a top 10 of the global power rankings like this.
But it does feel like maybe some of these LPL teams will be a bit shaky, but Hanwha is like the first on the chopping block of these top contending teams that could potentially be upset by a team outside of that top 6 in that 8 to 12 area. But there's a decent chance they level up as well during these LCK playoffs. We did have some shakeup in the top 5 because we get a rare treat of having that head-to-head in the upper bracket in the LPL. We had IG versus BLG going... Well, of course, the jungle situation for BLG makes us really questioning them. Everyone's talking about maybe IG is the strongest team in the LPL. That lasted about a week, and now we take a step back to reality because Knight was angry on this day.
There's a lot to prove from your boy, and I think he certainly had, at the very least, his own best effort on the day, and it was supplemented by the rest of his squad supporting him out, and especially... your boy Baishwan, still with that honeymoon angle coming back on in
Second
honeymoon
marriage,
2.
We're back.
Hey, it's still a honeymoon, still gets that type of one. And this time around, he knows exactly what type of wedding cake he wants to be snacking on all the way through. But he doesn't know what the expiration date is for a wedding cake, because who knows what the expiration date is for a wedding cake? You eat it all on that one day. He's been saving it slice after slice in the fridge.
He's got it deep in the dark pieces of his freezer,
Yeah, match after match, he's able to bust out a cake pop of it every time here and there. But how many are left? And there are enough left for this playoff run for BLG, I think still is going to be that question. And it's almost a little unfair because, again, Knight's performance individually was so fantastic and showcases, again, just what you can love, just what you can be, fearful of on the other side, facing a squad like BLG. But still, it's one of those ones where I'm checking that expiration date. I'm waiting to see when Baishwan's starting to turn green from eating all that old cake.
And listen, the Knight side of things, Rookie didn't have a bad day per se. I mean, I know he got solo killed in 2 different games, but Knight was just on another level. Usually you see a Lissandra pick, which is pretty off meta right now, and it's the kind of timid, I'm just here to try and counter and survive the laning phase against you, but against this Ahri pick for Rookie, there wasn't anything timid about that Lissandra.
No, and I think it's kind of crazy because this is a Lissandra that maybe every 1 in every 1,000, not even every 1 in every 100 games, you do get to see a Lissandra able to take over, able to utilize herself in this type of way. The only times is maybe the rarest occasion from someone like Faker, like a Chovy. So this was really fantastic to see from Knight, and especially at a time where BLG really needs these type of performances, right? Needs the superstars to step up, to find that high octane level of performance. This is the time to do it in these playoffs.
It's not enough for BLG to kick down Top Esports as the top LPL dog. Top Esports, don't make us eat our words against Weibo. You know, let's see Kanavi cook a little bit more and keep continuing to be the best jungler in the LPL.
It's that car that always starts for you, except for that one time that it didn't, and you really needed it to start. And you've got a very important interview that next day, and you're going, yeah, my car's going to start, no problem. I don't need to leave 10 minutes early just to make sure, but there's that 1% sliver doubt in your mind because you've seen it before. And unfortunately, that's too generous of an example for Top Esports because we've seen it more than just 1% of the time before from them. So still very cautious with it, but yes, still representing that very top power of the LPL.
And that top power of the table is what we've become accustomed to on these power rankings. Both T1 and Gen G just casually sipping their wine in the corner, waiting to hit the rift. Obviously, it's going to be T1 hitting there first. We got to wait another week for Gen G. But you can see the rankings. T1 at 2, D plus down at 18 for this opening round playoff matchup for the two of them. And T1 are going to be massive favorites. And D plus, I'm going to give them a game. I think they don't get 3-0.
I'm never ruling out a squad that has Barrel on the other side when it is T1 facing off
True,
against
Curious
them.
Kryptonite.
I ain't counting any chickens at that point, but I think at the very least we can acknowledge that both Gen G and T1 have done more than enough throughout this split to solidify themselves as those top dogs, and it will take a titanic, shaking of the ground to find a way to unearth them from that top 2 spots of the power rankings.
Yeah, I think even if T1 somehow drops the series to D+, you're still hovering them around the top 5. It's more going to be then D plus Kia somehow, Naruto running their way into the top 10 of these rankings.
Yeah, it's where I'm feeling about it. But again, enough done, enough proven from both of these squads that unless it is the most, shocking of type of series to see on both ends of that spectrum, the good and the bad for the winner and loser, I don't think that anything is really going to change at the very tippity top of these global power rankings until we hit that world stage.
And it's definitely going to be shaky and volatile for the LPL squads, though, as we really run through this gauntlet where we're going to be having best of fives day after day after day and probably some repeat matchups at the top of that table. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Absolutely gorgeous individuals. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you on that flippity flip.